high-fidelity tape still delivers high fidelity.
Forget the vinyl revolution. For old school music fans who remember that iconic commercial, cassettes are making a comeback. There's a surprising surge in sales of one of the most fragile and most frustrating formats of music ever sold. Superstars Ariana Grande, Kendrick Lamar, and Lady Gaga are among those offering their newest songs on cassette tape. Our Scott McFarlane found out why some are looking back.
For cassette collector St. Virgil, there's a thrill in chasing tapes. She and other attendees at the inaugural New York City Tape Fair last Sunday in Brooklyn are part of the format's return.
I got this case, which actually has all of my singles, and the ones on the top here, I actually won in an eBay bidding war.
It's a bit different from their heyday. For that, we have to hit rewind. Yves Mondesay is a hip-hop DJ in New York.
The best thing a label could put out.
His stage name is DJ Who Kid.
Nobody dares get on those beats.
But he has arguably one of the greatest nicknames in music, the Mixtape King.
It's a cool title because of, I'm part of like the DNA of that process.
When you were young, when we were young, did you listen to the radio and hit
That's
the record button?
Oh man, I was like, first of all, I don't even remember having a TV.
The Mixtape King eventually took it to a different level.
This is not a mixtape. This is a revolution.
He prodigiously made tapes in the 80s and sold them on the underground market, using that success to launch his radio career.
We burned like, 15,000 tapes, cassette tapes. It was more like an adrenaline rush when you drop the tape and then all the artists are like looking for you. I would just like wait, probably like 2, 3 in the morning, where I know Jay-Z blocked out the studio from 12 to 5. Everybody comes out. This is where I go in now. Pay the production guy or the sound guy or whatever, and he gives me the whole session.
Before Spotify, Pandora, and iTunes, cassettes dominated. At home, fans curated their own mixes on 90-minute blank tapes.
Now, the making of a good compilation tape is a very subtle art.
Black Flag, Dead Kennedys, Circle Jerks, any of the bands who really made a mark, they were releasing it on cassette.
Author and former music journalist Stephen Blush covered the emergence of punk music and other genres in the 1980s for top music magazines. We caught up with Blush at Academy Records in Brooklyn.
If you were a punk act coming up here in the 80s, you're doing your own stuff on cassette to get the job.
Correct. I feel that the explosion of musical acts connects directly to the rise of cassette culture.
But tapes were so fragile and fickle, so reliably unreliable, the format died quickly in the 90s as sturdier CDs took charge. But at record stores like this one, there are signs of a cassette rebirth.
There's nothing digital here.
No, there's nothing digital here.
Co-owner Corey Fireman has them priced between a few bucks and $20 for rarer material.
Do you think having like a physical thing that is small, that holds this thing that you really love is real and cool?
What types of people would actually want something like this?
I think that there's a surprising amount of young kids who want it. I'd say like 20-year-olds.
And the resurgence is being fueled by artists like Harry Styles and Billie Eilish, now selling some of their music on cassette to people who now also have the trendy portable tape players.
I know there are other people who are like, oh, but the sound quality, I think for me, that's what's endearing about it.
Whatever dollar amount you think I paid, lower it.
28-year-old St. Virgil has reached her target on TikTok, physical media enthusiasts. Virgil, who inherited her late father's tape collection at 16, is in the hobby for a few reasons.
I just love the permanence. When you take, for example, streaming online, I don't know when any platform is just going to be like, hey guys, so sorry about that. We just are not operating anymore. And that terrifies me, not being able to access my favorite music in that way.
And that could explain the upward trend in physical music sales. The Recording Industry Association of America reported $2 billion in physical revenues last year, still mostly from vinyl and CDs, but that's up 5% from the year prior. But it's not just about access to music. Chunks of American culture and history were recorded only on cassettes.
We have a significant audiovisual collection.
At the Smithsonian Libraries and Archives in Washington, Allison Reppert Gerber heads a team of preservationists digitizing tens of thousands of historic cassettes, hoping to eventually make them publicly available.
So here you can see that we have a couple of compact audio cassette tapes, but we also have lots of other formats in here, and this is very typical of the types of collections that we get.
Unidentified scholar.
And so this comes back to the problem of knowing what is on tapes. Part of audiovisual preservation, a huge part of it is discovery.
The other huge part, it's the race against time as tapes degrade and tape decks reach obsolescence. From historic speeches,
survival itself was enough of a problem,
to one-of-a-kind folk performances. Conservator Dave Walker showed us the preservation process.
And putting it into a new holder, a new cassette.
Exactly, because there's little parts in here too that can either be damaged or are sometimes missing. So with this, I'm going to carefully
Reshelling, cleaning, photographing, cataloging, digitizing, and housing tapes with all their inconsistencies. With all that work involved, it does beg the question, why bring back such a fragile medium? For some, that labor of love is part of the appeal.
I was never really a tinkerer or like any sort of handyman or repairman, but I now know how to repair a cassette tape drive and how to fix the batteries and everything. I think I have a really close relationship with the actual tapes themselves. It almost feels like I have a piece of the artist's soul in my hand.
A future for old tapes, other than the shoebox beneath your bed. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Scott McFarland on the B-side in Washington.
Kids are like, what, on the B-side?
Yeah,
it's the
baby,
flip
on the
side.
B-side, yeah.
You know what? I do miss those covers and being able to read about some of the music. That I miss in any of those meetings.
You know what? Because I would play out a cassette. I remember everything from Out of Africa, Barbra Streisand. I mean, I would listen, and with each listen, I would hear the degrading. Because I would play it over and over on my 40-minute ride to work.
The first cassette that comes to mind for you is Out of Africa.
I literally would listen to Out of Africa, and I would listen to Once on This Island, which was a Broadway musical. I'm weird, okay?
But we love you weird.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, kiddo.
You're going to want to see this.
Wow.
I did it.
Getting a tear in my eye. By now, you've probably seen that TV commercial for the Scout, a classic truck that helped pave the way for the modern sport utility vehicle craze. It's making a comeback as an all-new electric SUV and pickup. More than 500,000 International Harvester Scouts were sold during its 20-year run, ending in 1980. In the 45 years since, the vehicle has developed a bit of a cult following that has kept a dwindling number of the trucks on the road. Well, Chris Van Cleve is scouting out the power of nostalgia in bringing an old brand back to life.
The Scout 2.
When the International Harvester Scout rolled off the production line back in 1960, it was truly an SUV before the world had ever even heard of a sport utility vehicle.
Scout's extra-wide wheel track and lower silhouette give added stability.
A four-wheel drive truck that could be a hardtop, a pickup, or roll around as a soft top, even with no top. It was intended to compete with Jeep off-road and on-road, offer the heft of a work truck with the space of a station wagon.
Scout. Anything less is just a car.
It's one of the best vehicles I ever had.
45 years ago, Dale Jackson bought a brand new Scout 2. He needed something that could handle his farm in the mountains of Ravenswood, West Virginia, and haul around the family.
We used it for everything from traveling to feed cows, and we used it. And sometimes we abused it, but it done everything we wanted to do.
For his son Jason, the Scout became the driver of cherished childhood memories.
Around the farm or busting through the mud or the snow, we actually took on family vacations. We'd go to the beach in it. Tons of memories with trout fishing.
That 1979 Scout became Jason's first car, the first of about a dozen Scouts he'd owned over the years. While he never sold his father's truck, Jason parked it for the last time in 1993.
I'd looked at it for 30 years, and I made up my mind, I'm going to rebuild that, and I'm going to give it back to my dad without him knowing it.
What made you go, I want to restore this, I want to give it to Dad?
The love for my dad. I wanted to give back to him everything that he had given to me.
It took a couple of years and some detective work to find parts which were increasingly in short supply. The Scout production line came to a halt back in 1980 after a crippling 172-day strike coupled with an economic recession that left International spiraling towards bankruptcy.
After Scout ended in 1980, I think you really had to be a Scout aficionado to know about it.
Alana Scher is the senior features editor at Car and Driver.
The original Scout, it was a real game changer, and I don't even think they realized what a game changer it was at the time.
It sort of set the trend.
The Scout absolutely set the trend. In fact, Ford came in with the Bronco, which is a much more famous SUV, but it was after the Scout.
It was that pioneering go-anywhere ability that resonated with the Jackson family, but also with Volkswagen, who bought the Scout brand in 2021 and started planning a comeback story of their own, a return to the road as an EV. The Scout SUV and pickup versions will be built at this brand new factory in South Carolina, itself still under construction, bringing with it 4,000 new jobs.
Why bring back Scout?
Look, it's a chance of a lifetime.
Scott Keogh is the president and CEO of the new Scout Motors.
First and foremost, this is the Godfather. We wanted to bring him back. The second thing, it's well loved.
EV sales are slowing. Politically right now, there's certainly a lot of rhetoric about moving away from electrics. Those are some headwinds as you'd be coming on the market.
It's about 10% of the market. It was expected to be growing faster, but it's still growing and it's still a successful segment. Bigger picture, there's an awful lot to offer with electrification. What does the administration at its core want? And how does that reflect what we're doing? Build things again in America, do things again in America. Let's get back to building and doing.
Scout will hit the road in 2027, but the design is already largely set. A front grille and body paying homage to the past. And inside, there's even an optional bench seat, just like the old days. They're promising 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, a range of around 350 miles, with an optional extender to hit 500 miles between charges, with a price point starting in the mid to upper 50s. Something decidedly old school, this is one EV that's not all about the screens. Notice this one still comes with tried and true handles, buttons, and knobs.
There are certain things that should always be simple.
Lead designer Chris Benjamin.
It's finding that balance of creating something that feels like a Scout, so people that are familiar with the brand, they look at it and they go, oh yeah, of course that's a Scout. And then people that aren't familiar with the brand, they can look at it and go, wow, that's cool.
This is like a pre-prototype.
Pre. It's purely a design study is what I would call it.
And we were among the first to hop behind the wheel of one of the two rolling design studies, the early prototypes that were unveiled to the world late last year.
Did you feel some pressure when you debuted this for the Scout folks?
It's an immense amount of pressure, immense.
Based on the early reservations, the Scout is charged up to be a hit.
What is it about taking something like Scout and bringing it back as an electric? Why does that seem to resonate?
Nostalgia makes a really good marketing tool for introducing a new idea because it's all about familiarity, right? It already makes you feel comfortable. You feel like you know it. It's a friend.
For the Jacksons, surprising Dale with an old friend. His now beautifully restored 1979 Scout II was a moment they'll never forget.
I wanted him to get, when he sat down in it, to have that same feeling he did when he bought it.
When I first looked at it, I just couldn't believe it was the same Scout. I couldn't say nothing.
And while it's still a thrill to drive the original,
Never thought we'd have it out in the snow, Dad. This is the good old days.
Jason is looking forward to scouting out one more memory.
I'm 52 years old. I've never bought a new vehicle in my lifetime. My first new vehicle will be a Scout. In fact, I've already reserved one.
Blazing a familiar trail in a whole new electric way. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Chris Van Cleve in Malibu, California.
I love everything about that story.
Yep.
I love every character in that story, the CEO staying on message, but you know, the Scout sounds like the way to go.
Michelle may be buying one.
Come walk with me in one of the most popular destinations that can only be accessed through a digital device. This is downtown Willow Creek, a neighborhood that's part of the revolutionary video gaming series The Sims. Launching 25 years ago this week, the game has captivated players by the hundreds of millions, allowing them to create and control virtual lives. We paid a visit to The Sims headquarters to take a closer look at the franchise's success. But first, let's head back to the year it all began. Marking the start of the new millennium, boy bands and pop stars topped the charts. Technology took flight toward the cosmos.
The International Space Station is finally both up and running.
While back on Earth,
one survivor.
An inaugural group of castaways changed reality TV forever. All during a time when more than 70% of Americans didn't have a cell phone. And only about half of U.S. households had a computer.
You've got mail.
If you were playing especially computer games back then, you were probably playing on the family computer.
Phil Salvador catalogs the not-so-distant past as the library director for the Video Game History Foundation.
Around 2000, that was when we started seeing some advances in video game hardware that were happening. People were getting excited about first-person shooters and Halo and games like that.
But the video game development company Maxis was trying something different: simulation gaming, video games intended to imitate real-life activities. Spearheaded by legendary game designer Will Wright.
Will Wright actually lost his home in the Oakland Hills fire in 1991, and he had to start literally rebuilding his life, and that became the inspiration for an idea that he called Dollhouse.
Initially a virtual construction game, Dollhouse didn't draw much interest. But when Maxis was bought by rival Electronic Arts, EA became intrigued by the quirky game it had acquired.
Over time, they realized, well, people like telling stories. And that was around the time they were like, well, the people are what's important. That's what gets people excited, is interacting with these little simulated people. And that's when they changed it from Dollhouse to The Sims. So there's the Goth family. We can zoom in on them.
The Sims would spend nearly a decade in development, eventually creating a digital space where players are in control of their virtual beings, their environments, and how they live their lives.
Sims don't actually think for themselves.
When the game first debuted in February 2000, people didn't know what to make of it.
You don't need to know what they're saying, but you get the emotion.
At the time, I remember thinking, it's a game, I have to win. How do I win at this game?
Yeah, because it is a game where you're helping people do chores around the house and use the toilet and things like that. And it's not the most immediately compelling game idea. But once people started seeing it hands-on, I think they realized there was something special happening there. Even in an era where the PlayStation 2 was coming out, the Xbox was coming out, people said, this is new, this is something different.
The Sims quickly became a cultural phenomenon. By 2002, it was the best-selling PC game in history.
How much of a gamer are you?
Oh, I love games. I love playing with other people and competing.
Lifelong gamer Laura Millet is president of EA Entertainment, Technology, and Central Development.
What does it mean to you that you're celebrating a 25th birthday?
Yeah. Well, gosh, time has gone by fast, that's for sure. But it is also humbling to look back on all of the people that we've impacted, and multiple generations of people grew up with The Sims.
All while redefining what it means to be a gamer. With women making up around 60% of The Sims' most recent player base, the franchise has reached more than 500 million players, the largest brand in the life simulation space.
What do you think the key to having the longevity that you've had in this marketplace is?
I think that The Sims is such an amazing open canvas and sandbox for creators to come in and have self-expression. They can bring this content into the game, so a player, whether you're 12 or 82, you can always be connected to the culture that you love through The Sims.
As for the culture makers, they have love for the game too.
So I've been playing The Sims since I was like 9.
Earlier this week, Doja Cat joined The Sims' celebratory 25-hour live stream. Even the freshly crowned Best New Artist, Chappell Roan, has shown interest in being Simified, joining the likes of the Black Eyed Peas,
Run
and Glass Animals' Dave Bailey in re-recording their songs in Simlish. Yes, I said Simlish.
Sekalau Jonkers.
The fictional language created just for the game.
Like if I was in the game and there's a spider crawling at me, I'd be like, Sekalau Jonkers! Sekalau Jonkers! Sekalau Jonkers!
Simlish was a brilliant concept for The Sims, I have to say.
Rachel Franklin is EA's senior vice president.
What it does is it allows the player to be able to say, I think they're saying this. But and allowing for choice and creativity and meaning that's directly connected to the player. It's so exciting.
Under Franklin's direction, the latest version of the game, Sims 4, is the most widely played title within the franchise. Putting representation at the forefront, it's credited with giving players the greatest control over customizing their Sims and what's built within the game.
We get stories all the time about how people, for example, they want to be an architect. And so they go and they play with building in The Sims. And that translates into, hey, I was able to get my dream job as an architect because of all of that time I spent playing. There's also a lot of people that experiment with their own lives in The Sims. Or some people will build a family, find what makes them happy through this cause and effect with these little people.
It's a safe space to try something you might not have tried.
It's a safe space, and it's an optimistic universe. It's a place where, in the end, it all works out.
Here's you now.
Which, in celebrating its 25th birthday, is exactly what you could say for the Sims franchise.
Where does The Sims rank in our gaming lives and in history?
In terms of importance, it is very close to the top of the list. When you think about games that really broke ground for what video games could be, you see, Doom, which is the game, one of the first games that was a first-person shooter that really clicked on. You see something like Super Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong, obviously. The Sims deserves to be in that same conversation.
Why is it still relevant?
Because everybody brings a little bit of themselves into the game. Everyone gets something a little bit different out of it, far more than what the developers ever intended. And how many games can say that?
Yishla. Rinishoop. Shishtawab. Yibs. Yibs.
For the first time in its 120-year history, Ford Motor Company is opening its car vault, allowing rare access to some of its nearly 500 vehicles worldwide that make up its heritage fleet. Vehicles that showcase the company's legacy, ingenuity, and evolution. It's a collection that includes concept cars that never hit the road to some pieces of Ford history that employees literally hide away. Chris Van Cleve takes us inside a very unique time capsule.
All it takes is just...
Oh, wow. That's a taste of what 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds feels like. This is a statement piece.
Oh, for sure.
And rolling around suburban Detroit with Ford's Nick Terz's this Ford GT was definitely saying something.
It was about going back to show that we have the engineering capability that's as good or better than the rest of the world.
Interesting to watch the reactions of people driving by.
This is one of those cars that is beloved by all. It elicits an emotion.
Terz's worked on the GT program, and this was one of its early test cars.
This car will do 217 miles an hour.
That head turner is among nearly 500 Ford vehicles special enough for the company to keep. Nearly 200 are in the U.S. About 50 are now on display in what's usually the executive parking garage at Ford's Dearborn, Michigan headquarters. From a recreated Model T to a 1938 ambulance, and some cars that never hit the road, like this 2007 Ford Airstream concept, imagined as a plug-in hybrid hydrogen fuel cell crossover.
We keep the best of what we've done in the past as a way to learn and for the future.
Ted Ryan is Ford's historian and says this heritage collection started with an email from the boss in December 2023.
Go find the best of the vehicles in America and find a way to get them together so that our employees can learn from what we've done and enjoy the best of what Ford has done over the years.
Why didn't they do that already?
Henry Ford II had a policy that we build cars, we don't collect them. That had sort of been the mantra. So everything we built was either sold or given away or auctioned.
So Ryan scoured warehouses like the one we visited in 2017 that was home to a collection of concept cars and race cars. And as word spread, employees flagged him to other vehicles that had essentially been tucked away.
We had people coming out of the woodwork. The very first F-150 and the very last Mustang built at Dearborn Assembly, the plant managers had sort of hidden those cars. They knew the significance of the first and the last. Now they've got a home.
Folks were hiding parts of Ford history.
Hiding parts of Ford history because they knew it was significant. Without our employees, without their passion for the cars they built, we wouldn't have a fleet. Without the plant managers hiding those vehicles, it doesn't exist.
Ford CEO Jim Farley got the idea after visiting this Ford facility in the UK. Across the pond, the team had been carefully preserving Ford's British history for decades, curating a collection of about 130 vehicles, from Ford's early models to a vintage Mustang, and many that never made it over here.
The thing with the collection is it's been very much a hidden secret for Ford over the years.
Len Keane oversees the UK collection.
This evokes emotions in people. This is their first car, the car their parents had.
A similar heritage fleet calls Melbourne, Australia home. Ford has been making cars down under for more than 100 years.
People think of like, well, that's the past and this is the current. That's not how it works, actually. Everything evolves off itself.
Like this yellow Ford Bronco concept that evolved into the Raptor line of high-performance pickups. In fact, there are plenty of pickups in the Heritage Collection. The prototype electric F-150 President Biden drove.
This sucker's quick.
This Atlas concept became the F-250, and copious concept cars. While this 2004 Bronco concept almost made it to production, it did make it into a movie with The Rock. And this one just looks otherworldly. Also, many a Mustang, from number 10 million to one that once sat atop the Empire State Building.
It was supposed to have been destroyed. The communications manager didn't want it destroyed, so he put it in a warehouse in the middle of Michigan. They kept not only the car, they kept the fake elevator they used to practice to make sure they could fit the car pieces and get them up to the 86th floor.
And this is a 1993 SVT Mustang Cobra R, number one of only 107 made. But not all were success stories. This electric Ranger was not a winner.
Great story about experiment and failing. The Ranger failed. It didn't succeed, but what did we learn from it? Well, we learned we have to get better with our battery technology.
Eventually, the collection will have its own facility here in the U.S.
Had to have a story. Otherwise, you're just keeping it just to keep stuff, and we're not hoarders.
Is there a fine line between being a historian and a hoarder?
Yes, there's a fine line, because you want to keep everything.
For now, the cars are on display mainly for Ford employees to study, track design evolution and innovation, or just look for fresh inspiration. But on rare days, like Bring Your Kids to Work Day or a recent Cars and Coffee weekend, the Heritage fleet can be seen by the rest of us. And it's a hit with car fans.
By far the GTs in the back because of like how fast they can go. Mine's the really big Bronco because like I'm like literally shorter than it.
Of all ages.
It is a really neat experience to especially see the concept cars because that's a little insider view that nobody gets to see.
What kind of car do you want? You want a Ford truck?
It does.
A truck of the future that may just be inspired by this collection of Ford's past. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Chris Van Cleve in Dearborn, Michigan.
I love that as we talk about automating everything, it was the people at Ford that were the ones that made sure that we've hung on to those.
And the pride that they have in building those. I have to tell you, I covered that Empire State Building
car.
Take apart and rebuild on top. It was fascinating. And everybody on board was so excited about that moment, the 50th anniversary of the Mustang.
An American icon is celebrating a century in the skies. This week, the famed Goodyear Blimp turned 100 years old. And while many of us have looked up at the airship, we wondered what it's like to look down from it. Celebrating its birthday, Janet Shamlian went along for a ride.
It's a floating fixture at the intersection of American sports and spectacle. Maybe you've looked up at the Goodyear Blimp from the Daytona International Speedway or the Vegas Strip, or any of its thousands of appearances. But what's it like to look down from it?
I am so excited right now. We're about to get on to the blimp, and this is bucket list.
We were invited along for a ride with Michael Doherty,
These are the helium valves.
who started on the blimp base as a teen cutting the grass and has now been captaining the airship for 18 years.
Tell me, like, what to expect.
So we're a little bit of helicopter in the takeoff,
Okay.
and we transition to a little bit of airplane in the sky, but it feels like a boat in the sky the whole time.
A boat in the sky?
Yep, we don't get turbulence like an airplane does. We just kind of move around with the airwaves a little bit.
It's come a long way from these days when it truly was a blimp without any internal structure and used highly flammable hydrogen. It's technically an airship now, though most still call it a blimp. The propellers allow it to hover, reverse, even spin in place. And the avionics rival those of a modern private jet. It's not your knee-crunching economy class. This is the penthouse of the skies.
It's go time.
We took it for a spin over Akron, Ohio, one of its U.S. bases.
Hi, welcome aboard, Janet.
Thank you.
To see what it could do.
Well, I think I'm going to go to the front. Goodyear Blimp. Let's do this.
The modern blimp takes off and lands almost vertically, like a helicopter.
We're just taking off, and it's very smooth so far.
It's more scenic limo ride than it is a flight.
So this is what it looks like most of the time for us, 1,000 feet or so.
Goodyear, for which the blimp serves as the ultimate promotional tool, operates 3 in the United States. At just shy of 250 feet, each is longer than a Boeing 747 and generally cruises at a chill 30 to 40 miles an hour.
Because the ride is so smooth, you can get up and walk around. And because the windows are so large, it just feels like you're floating. And the view is absolutely spectacular.
There's no jet engine roar, just a gentle sway.
What does it feel like?
It feels a little bit like a roller coaster. I feel a little bit of butterflies in my stomach just because we're up so high, but it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's surreal.
The city sprawled out below like a living map.
Is there any chance I might get a better view from up front?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Not a bad view from the front
Yes. Right seat on the Goodyear Blimp with my captain. This is amazing.
It's one of the best seats in the house.
Doherty has close to 6,000 hours in the blimp. That's a number that makes other pilots nod in respect.
So we'll make a couple of right turns, and then we'll be kind of over top of the airport there.
Our 45-minute flight flew by, and too soon it was time for this quiet giant to head back to base.
What's the landing going to be like for me?
Just the exact opposite of the takeoff. So we're going to do vertical takeoff and landing. It's quite subtle. It's not like a bump on an airplane, so it should come down nice.
The ultimate skybox, as an American icon, turns 100. For CBS Saturday Morning, I'm Janet Shamlian, above Akron, Ohio.
Definitely a bucket list. But you know, if I'd asked the co-pilot to step aside, I would have been hearing a lot from our crew in the control room. You better believe that.
How could you not?
On the dish this morning, the company that's been feeding America since the beginning. Founded in 1790, King Arthur was launched at the same time George Washington was giving his first State of the Union address. Ever since, it's been king when it comes to flour, the building block of our baked goods. Even after 230 years, however, times keep changing, as we found out on a recent visit. Nestled halfway up Vermont, near the border with New Hampshire, is a picturesque town called Norwich, featuring the Mecca of baking. At King Arthur, they make mouth-watering pastries and bread, sell baking products, offer a cafe.
King Arthur Baker's Hotline, this is David.
And even a call center where anyone with a baking emergency can reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's in the refrigerator, the yeast activity is slowed down quite a bit.
Not to mention a classroom where Amber Eisler, their school's baking director, showed us the finer, gentler points of the croissant baking process.
So we are going to whack this butter. So we're going to do that by...
Or not.
See how yours is flying off and mine didn't, right?
Yeah.
Give it a little twist of the wrist. you're doing great. Okay. That's probably enough. Okay.
Violent. It was violent?
Look at hers and look at yours.
Well, she said to whack it. Bam Bam and Amber will get back to the croissant making in a second. But first, a little more about this place. King Arthur is 100% employee owned and built on the foundation of a famous red bag, a beacon to baking connoisseurs that recently got a different name and logo. Some people come in here and start crying.
We believe strongly in the power of baking.
Karen Kohlberg is the co-CEO of the King Arthur Baking Company. King Arthur was the flour company for 230 years.
Yes.
And then became King Arthur Baking Company. Why?
We want to be the teacher of baking. We want to be the inspiration for baking. Remaining relevant, being current, wanting to be around for another 200 years, we needed to change the rebrand and change the name of the company because we'd always been a baking company.
So now to form the croissant, we're going to pick up a piece of dough and just gently elongate a little bit. This will give us more layers as we roll it up. And then where there was that notch at the top, we're just going to open it up a little bit, and then we'll fold it over and begin rolling. So you can walk it all the way, or you can just roll.
Oh, yes, look at that.
Perfect. Woo. All right, there you go.
Thank you. Wow. We let our croissants rise for a couple hours and coated them in an egg wash before putting them in the oven to bake for about 20 minutes. The main ingredient is King Arthur's unbleached white flour. In 2020 alone, the company sold 156 million pounds of it. Martin Phillip is King Arthur's baking ambassador.
The mindset that we use to approach baking is different than what I do for cooking. Cooking is in many ways improvisational, right? Baking is not that. Baking is about setting a course and using precision to a degree to control what goes into the bowl to have the best outcome. The people who often do the best baking are like engineers or people like that who bring that mindset.
Because you're looking at something far off.
Yeah, you know, baking takes time. It's like making wine. Bread makers are like the wine makers of the sort of carbohydrate world.
Philip believes unconditionally in the power of baking to not just bring ingredients, but people together. Which is why after the 2016 election, he set out on a road trip back to where he grew up.
There was more division in society than what is necessary or even normal. And so I looked at food as a way to come together. And so I took the ingredients to make biscuits, put a banjo on my back and got an old bicycle and went back to where I'm from in Arkansas and just started riding and cold calling homes and trying to talk to people.
Because you think biscuits and banjos can bring people together?
I think so. What I figured was that if they didn't like the music, they could at least eat a biscuit, you know what I mean? So it was a hedge a little bit. For yeasted breads, we want to control the temperature of the dough, right?
Today, Philip develops recipes for King Arthur and stars in their instructional videos, which reach millions. Is your goal to try to get people to eat new kinds of bread or to get better at baking the bread they already make?
Yes. Yeah, definitely both. I mean, what we want to do is write recipes which are based on the foundations of baking, which make beautiful bread, but also bring ingredients in that are compelling. So this one has Italian black rice and black sesame in it. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll trade you.
Give you that.
It's nutty as hell, right?
It's nutty as hell. I kind of like the thin cut.
Yeah.
I do?
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that community, is where, baking began and community grew out of that, I think. Food is where community began, right? And I believe that. And I see it every day because we produce content that touches people across the world and we hear from them. So the next time you're working on your baguettes or your croissants, you have a question, you can give us a call.
Ah, yes, those croissants.
Woo! All right, let's cut into one and see how we did.
Look at that.
Do you see that? Kind of the honeycomb shape.
Yeah, beautiful.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. Wow. They were so good. We established fairly quickly that I don't always have the patience required to bake properly.
You did not do well on the butter whacking.
I didn't whack the butter well.
Was that butter? I thought that was.
It's high-fat European butter.
Wow.
She told me to crush it, so I crushed it, but it was all over the place.
You know what,
right.
Jeff? You did crush the piece.
This
How
bread
about
is
that?
amazing.
Yeah, so we have 5-seed sourdough in front of you.
Can I try this one?
Yeah, just take the loaf.
Tear a piece.
Sure.
Tear a piece off.
The 5-seed sesame we have some butter here, there's some jam with it, and some honey.
By the way, it doesn't need
So try
anything on it.
Look
I've
at
been
this.
putting
You
stuff
see
on
this
it.
one, though?
Doesn't
This
need
is the...
anything.
I can't even get it.
I know that.
Look at this
I
thing.
wanna,
Look at this melon.
I know.
I mean,
take a piece.
isn't that
of
impressive?
Cut into that.
You see
So
this thing?
good. Yeah. You didn't bake that though, right? So
I did
we're
not
on
make
it.
this. They sent it to us.